you've been enjoying your weekend. Welcome to Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinitwe. We are here once again offering you, the young people, a platform to express yourself, express your views in regards to the fight against corruption. Feel free to join in the conversation on our Twitter pages at Your Space Uganda. Feel free to tag us. Feel free to mention us. We'll be right there with you. In studio with me today are my usual suspects. And I'll start with Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Patricia.
Thank you, Hannah, and good evening, viewers out there. We are happy to continue with this conversation.
Yes. Welcome to the show, Joel. How are you feeling?
Excellent. Very happy to be with you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yes, very happy to be with you, Monica. And Doctor, you look exquisite. Yes.
Exquisite.
Can you simplify that?
Simplify that.
She's the English teacher.
Welcome to the show, Monica.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Good evening, viewers. My name is Monica Chayo. Very happy to be here today.
Yeah, today's conversation is one that I think has a build-up from what we spoke about last Sunday, the role of peer-to-peer education when it comes to addressing corruption. But I think some of us may not really understand what peer-to-peer education looks like or what it is. So I think I'll start with you, Monica. Have you experienced peer-to-peer education in your life?
Yes, I have. Thank you so much, Hannah. Peer-to-peer education comes in various dynamics. Peer, you just have to identify who your peer is, and then that's basically it. It could be peer in terms of workspace and the ranks you're at. It could be peer in terms of age group. It could be peer in terms of, neighborhood, basically, yeah. So
these people must be of the same
age range.
Yes.
And the mind behind the age range or thinking bracket is because they will be able to come up with solutions that they know their problem as peers, so they can also speak to their problems as peers and find solutions as peers. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced peer-to-peer education, Joel?
I remember when I was around, I think 7, 8. Yeah, I was around 7, 8. We used to have, I think they were HIV related.
Yes.
So we would go for these conferences. There was something, something like conferences. Then they would give us orange shirts written on "I am a peer educator," something like that. Then they would put us in groups. Then they would ask us, share your experiences. Maybe have you met any girls, for example? But at that age, you can. I hadn't met Monica. Anyway, the whole essence around peer-to-peer experiences is to put people that maybe are of the same age range, same category, to share experiences, to talk about the same subject, about the same topic, and maybe together they can generate solutions.
Dr. Patricia, when I was working on research for this topic, one of the statistics showed that 85% of peer-to-peer education is more effective when it comes to the fight against anything, surely. Do you think that this should be a concept that we can take on as young people, as the institution of the IGG, when it comes to looking to fighting corruption?
I think this is a very good strategy we could consider in the war against corruption, because I have seen it work. Because first of all, when you look at corruption is a barrier to development in our country. Corruption is a barrier to democracy and social justice. It undermines trust in institutions. It erodes even public resources out there. And it limits opportunities for individuals, like the youth, the young people. It limits their opportunities, especially to get employment, to access social health care services, to access facilities from government. And then one effective strategy which can be used to combat corruption is this peer-to-peer engagement, even among institution to institution, among individuals or the different groups, as Joel has indicated. Because when individuals collaborate, they are able to share knowledge, they are able to share, support one another, they can foster a culture of transparency, and they are able to influence particularly the fellow youth. I have seen this work before. I had a peer-to-peer training in Namibia about 3 years ago.
Wow.
And it was institutions in asset recovery, sharing their experiences, and those who have not done it, learning to see how the others have been successful. So it was peer-to-peer, institution by institution. And it is something that works very, very well. And it helps to mitigate even the issues or the cases of corruption. It promotes a culture that mitigates corrupt practices because, one, you're able to pick and learn best practice from other institutions. You're able to share experiences. For the young people, they will be able to share experiences. Like this conversation we had the previous Sunday when we were talking about experiences. You have experienced, you've witnessed people giving bribes, or you have given a bribe or taken a bribe to have a service. How can we deal with it? How did another person deal with it to avoid a repeat of that scenario? So I think that peer-to-peer will help promote accountability, particularly among the youth, because it highlights a powerful mechanism for driving change and mobilizing communities against corruption through experience sharing, information exchange, through best practice, and so on. So I think it's a strategy that would really, really make significant impact in the war against corruption and basically pushing for the role of the youth in the fight.
Yes, Joe.
Yes, and I think it specifically works for corruption, basically because this is my assessment. I feel like, okay, there's a research I'm doing, but I feel like corruption is more of a culture. You know, something that has become
part of the society.
Yeah, so it has ceased to be something that is affecting the system, and it has become the system. You get the idea. So as we deal with these other these other aspects of corruption, institutionalized corruption, corruption in our offices, I feel like it's more important that we focus more on causing the people themselves that are affected by corruption to share experiences. I feel like that would work more, and if only we could invest in such a strategy, because corruption has now become the system. And I don't know whether you've understood what I'm saying, but it's what is us.
And I think it now becomes a normal thing.
Yes,
people are, the chances of someone getting shocked at something right being done are higher than if they see something wrong being done.
Correct.
They feel like,
we've normalized the wrong things.
Exactly.
So that calls for the mindset change, so that people tune their minds and know that this is not normal. The normal way is by sticking to the values and principles that will cause change in the society.
I remember when I was going to work on my driving permit, and then I told my friends, I shared an experience like, I went to get my permit today, and it got processed today within a maximum of like 1.5 to 2 hours. And they said, what?
Without kintu kidogo?
Are you sure you didn't pay anything? I'm like, I didn't pay anything. Not even a 50K. I'm like, nothing. And they were surprised, right? Because I think the
mindset
used to always having an allowance.
Service.
And I think sometimes it's even a wastage of time, you know? Even before you go and try to do the right thing, you're already looking for how to do the wrong thing.
Thanks. Back up. Like there's always a plan B. Because you don't think plan A is going to move.
Exactly. Somebody says, I'm going for an interview. Do you know the people on the panel? But you have not even entered the interview panel. Like, you're asking me.
Studying.
Exactly. So I think that is quite important. Let's go in for a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. We are still here on Your Space with your host, Hannah Arinit. We're still having a bit of a laugh about how our mindset change has really screwed up 100%. But now that we are looking at having peer-to-peer education as a method of the fight against corruption, what do you think, Dr. Patricia, is like one of those specific anti-corruption messages that you think would be most impactful when we take up that peer-to-peer education?
First of all, peer-to-peer education, Hannah, helps to foster awareness and education. So when we look at it from the perspective of knowledge sharing, then the networks allow individuals to share information and experiences related to corruption. It helps people come out open to discuss instances of corruption and how it manifests itself, and how it affected them, and consequences of the practices, and it helps raise awareness, especially among peers, would equip them with the knowledge, with the understanding, to be able to recognize, to be able to detect what exactly corruption is. So the message out there would be the impact, the negative impact of corruption through peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer to expose the negative impact of corruption. Then it can also be used as a civic education tool. It can be used as a civic education tool because young people can conduct educational sessions and workshops where they can teach or reach each other about these messages on corruption, about the implications of corruption. So if they have these tools, they can use these tools to promote or report on ethical behavior or expose unethical behavior. So this approach would basically resonate with what is more within the peer groups, making the content even more impactful. If the youth get to absorb or embrace or understand this peer-to-peer, it can have a more significant impact. Of course, we have tried through mentorship, through coaching and so on, but this would have a significant impact in that the people who have been involved in these practices would share their experiences. They would share their experiences and they would be able to expose the fact that corruption does not help but destroy and erodes the moral fabric of the nation. And I think it would be a very, very good opportunity. Then it would also help in supporting, creating the support networks, safe spaces for discussion through peer-to-peer, like now on your space here. This is a safe space for discussion. And Monica can easily share her experience with this taxi conductor who was getting prepared to give a bribe. So we would then get to know that peer-to-peer groups can provide a safe environment for these young people to voice their views, to voice their opinions, to share their experiences and insights, and build a collective understanding on what corruption is and how it impacts in the society. And in doing so, they would be able to promote the fact of changing the society through hating, through detesting, through reporting cases of corruption. Then there is the aspect of emotional support, emotional and moral support. In combating corruption, it is very important for individuals who may be isolated or who may get backlash because they have reported, who may get to suffer retaliation. But peer-to-peer can offer encouragement and solidarity. Someone else said me, I reported, action was taken, and I think next time when you report, you should take precaution. Protect yourself, don't expose yourself as a whistleblower. So it will empower the individuals to act on their convictions and be able to stand out against corruption. So, and it's also in a way mobilizing action, mobilizing advocacy and collective mobilization among the young people, because the groups can organize themselves better and they can do those campaigns we're talking about, or social media initiatives, which is aimed basically at raising awareness. And that can be done properly through peer-to-peer, and it can help the others demand for accountability. So this collective action basically amplifies our voice. It amplifies the message. It garners the greater attention from the local authorities and even the media. So for me, I see this as a very, very significant approach to encourage youth activism towards fighting against corruption, because now young people can lead this advocacy through these tools, through social media, through Twitter, through these other medias I don't know about, but within their communities. And they can, in so doing, push for integrity and transparent government. The engagement can garner momentum where the individuals just come together to make sure they fight this common problem of corruption.
Even psychologically, I think psychologically we relate more with people who are within our age range. We have more respect for them. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
true. And whenever, for example, I'm engaging here with Monica, I feel like I'm more attached to the subject. And I think that's what Doctor was talking about, that if we are to get these young people to really lead in the fight against corruption, I think this would be the best approach. Yes, because I would give you an example. Christianity has survived through something like peer-to-peer. I don't know whether you paid attention.
Yes.
If there was no evangelism, there are no missions. Don't tell your neighbor about what you know about Jesus.
Or hug your neighbor.
Something
greet
like
your
that.
neighbor.
Exactly like that. Yeah, exactly. So something like peer to peer. And in our churches we have cells. We have cells.
Wow, that's
so
true.
why not something like that for fellowships in the fight against corruption? Something like that. To have something for the grassroots, to have something for our districts where we come from. It's say like maybe we meet it could even be once a year, once a month, once. So we may basically to talk about corruption, because if it is something that costs us this much, why don't we take why don't we sacrifice to ensure that we root it out? Don't you think so?
I do know 2025 is going to be a very big year for your space. I'm looking at us also having, small meetups and fellowships where we can be able to have that kind of like relation and conversation.
At Christmas, I was talking about the true light that gives light to everyone in John chapter 1 verse 9. And Jesus is that true light. And if that message has been able to spread, and we've celebrated these Christmases so many times, it was time to reflect on how to embrace this true light through values, how we can demonstrate this true light out there. And I think the young people need to embrace this true light, because it's true light that gives light to everyone in John 1:9. And Jesus is that true light. And if surely you love God and believe in Jesus, then we need to demonstrate these exemplary values out there, so that everybody gets to see this true light and illuminate it out through our examples, so that it can have impact through preaching these values on integrity, on truthfulness, on accountability. Yes.
Just a couple of minutes to the end of today's show. Any final remarks, Monica?
Yes, thank you so much, Hannah. I'll go straight to the stakeholders bit. I think when it comes to this fight, we could incorporate it also in schools and make it a thing.
Yes.
No school paid me to
advertise.
No school paid me to advertise, but this is a good thing, so let me just say it. In my O-level school, we had different meetings, class meetings on Wednesdays, then class meeting, and then house meetings on Tuesdays. But it would expose us to conversations that mattered in the class, so it would avoid, like, we could deal with our conflicts inside. Yes. So imagine schools incorporated where after prep, like morning prep, you have like a 30 minutes where everyone sits in their class and they talk about corruption, even if it's just within the class setting or school setting, or it's a good place to start. It's a very good place to start.
Dr. Patricia, there goes an idea for you.
Yes,
Joel.
Yes.
Yes.
Finally,
maybe related to hers, like because corruption is a big thing and we lose a lot of money. So considering clubs would be a wonderful thing. To consider a club, like maybe on regional,
we have integrity promotion clubs.
Yeah, exactly, something like that.
We need to strengthen the integrity promotion clubs in the schools. Yes.
So that we have maybe consistent fellowships. That could make a difference.
Dr. Patricia, as we close, any final
As we
remarks?
close, my final remarks are to the effect that peer-to-peer engagement is a powerful tool. And in our conversation today, we have identified peer-to-peer as a powerful tool in the war against corruption. It enables individuals to empower each other, to share their experiences, and to mobilize for collective action. So I think the future of combating corruption lies not only in institutional reforms, but also on active participation, and also by the youth. And individuals should be ready to stand out and speak against corruption and speak against unethical practices in their everyday lives. And together, through this peer-to-peer influence, And collective action, we can create an environment where corruption is no longer tolerated. So viewers out there, let's look towards working together to create that environment where corruption is no longer tolerated. And this can be best done through peer-to-peer mechanisms. Thank you very much.
I love that we've been able to resolve so many things out of this conversation today. Let's keep the conversation moving. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next week, same time, same place on your space. Bye-bye.